You know the feeling, right? You're stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic, absolutely crawling along, and you think, if they just added one more lane, all of this would disappear. I mean, it seems so obvious. But what if I told you that simple, common sense idea is not only wrong, but it's actually the very thing making traffic worse? Yeah, let's get into it. First up, let me ask you a personal question. Have you ever jumped in the car for a trip that, looking back, you probably could have just walked? Like a quick run to the corner store or a friend's house just a few blocks away? Yeah, pretty much all of us have. And the reason why we do that is actually the key to this whole puzzle. So that brings us to what you might call the 1-kilometer car trip. We're going to look at the psychology behind why we so often pick our cars over our own 2 feet, even when the distance is super short. And to figure this out, we're not just guessing. There's some really fascinating research here. A 2025 study from the University of Malta dug deep into this exact question. What is going on in our heads when we decide to drive a totally walkable distance? Well, the researchers used this idea called the perceived exertion theory. And here's the really interesting part. It's not just about physical effort. Our brain does this quick calculation of the total cost, and that includes the mental effort and the time we think the trip is going to take. So here's the big takeaway. It's often not about being lazy. The study actually found that the mental stuff, planning the walk, thinking about what you have to carry, stressing about crossing a busy street, and just our perception of how long it'll take, those are actually bigger roadblocks than the physical act of walking. And they even put a number to it. On average, people felt their walking limit was just 1.3 kilometers. That's about a 17-minute walk. Once a trip gets longer than that, for most of us, that little mental switch flips and hopping in the car becomes the automatic choice. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. When you have millions and millions of people all making that same calculation every single day, well, you get traffic, lots of it. And if you're a city planner, the answer seems pretty obvious, right? Just build more roads. This is the classic way of doing things. You see a traffic jam, you predict there will be even more cars in the future, so you provide more lanes to handle them. It's a very straightforward, logical-sounding response to a problem you can see right in front of you. But here's the thing. This is not a new problem. Not at all. In his amazing biography of New York's master builder, Robert Moses, Robert Caro described how even way back in the mid-20th century, people were seeing this vicious cycle. Moses would build a massive new highway to ease traffic, and within a few years, it would be just as clogged as the old roads. And this all leads us to a really powerful, kind of counterintuitive idea that explains exactly what's going on. It's so consistent, they call it traffic's iron law. The city planner Jeff Speck calls it the great intellectual black hole in city planning. It's a truth that basically everyone in the field knows and agrees on, but almost no one is actually willing to base their decisions on it. So what is this big, powerful, ignored idea? It all comes down to a basic economic principle called induced demand. Think of it like this. When you increase the supply of something, in this case road space, you make it cheaper. And the price of driving isn't just gas money, it's your time. So a new, less congested road means a faster, cheaper trip. And whenever something gets cheaper, guess what? People use more of it. Now, the formal name for this is the Lewis-Modrich position, also known as the iron law of congestion. But the core idea can be boiled down to one simple, powerful phrase. Traffic expands to meet the available road space. It's almost like a law of physics for cars. And look, this isn't just a theory. We've got the data to prove it. Researchers at UC Berkeley did this massive study. They looked at 30 counties in California, and what they found was wild. For every 10% increase in road capacity, adding a new lane, traffic went up by 9% in just 4 years. Think about that. Almost all that new space was just gone, eaten up by new cars almost immediately. Traffic engineers have the perfect analogy for this. They say adding lanes to fix traffic is like trying to cure obesity by loosening your belt. It doesn't solve the real problem, right? It just makes it easier to keep doing the thing that caused the problem in the first place. Okay, so if adding roads just creates more traffic, that begs a pretty fascinating question, doesn't it? What happens if we do the exact opposite? No, seriously, think about it for a second. If we believe in this idea of induced demand, what should happen if we actually take a road away? What would you predict? Well, the expected outcome, the thing every politician and commuter absolutely dreads, is Carmageddon. Total traffic chaos with cars flooding all the nearby streets. But what actually happens, what we've seen time and again, is something called traffic evaporation. A huge chunk of the traffic just vanishes. And the scale of this effect is just mind-blowing. When a section of New York's West Side Highway was torn down, a study found that an incredible 93% of the traffic it used to carry didn't just move to other streets. It just disappeared. Poof. Gone. And this isn't a fluke, it's not a one-off thing. We've seen it happen again and again, all over the world. San Francisco's Embarcadero Freeway, Milwaukee's Park East Freeway, even the massive Cheonggyecheon Freeway in Seoul, South Korea. You take the road away, and people adapt. They combine trips, they travel at different times, they take the train, or they just don't make the trip at all. The traffic evaporates. So all of this, it's all building towards a totally new way of thinking. We started by looking at why one person chooses to drive a short distance, and we've ended up questioning the entire purpose of our streets. This is about building cities for people, not just for cars.
The whole conversation has to shift. If making car travel faster and easier only creates more car travel, then maybe the problem isn't how do we fix traffic. Maybe the real problem we should be trying to solve is how do we build cities where we don't need a car for every single trip?
And this brings us right back around to the recommendations from that University of Malta study. The solution isn't just one magic bullet. It's about making walking safer and more pleasant. It's turning our streets into places people actually want to hang out. It's providing amazing public transit and safe bike lanes, and it's about giving people a real say in how their own neighborhoods are designed. So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. What if the ultimate solution to traffic has nothing to do with traffic at all? What if it's about building cities that are so enjoyable, so convenient, and so vibrant on a human scale that you just don't need a car to get the most out of them?